Next speaker is ELISE ROTH. And she had some really good stories. And I just found out one of them, one of these did not take place when she was an adult, and I thought that she was an adult when this was shared. Number one, she tattooed her entire body in permanent marker and then streaked her parents' dinner party. Evidently was a child when that happened. We all have our own paths. And then she also rested her chin on a hot waffle iron. And I will tell you, up until about 30 seconds ago, I imagined adult Elise had done that because that's something that I would totally do. She's like, no, I was very young. I'm like, oh, right, because I would never do that. I totally would have the waffle iron thing. And her song that she has to sing along to is Miley Cyrus's Wrecking Ball. So that being said, guess how she's going to come in like, what? Please welcome Elise to the stage.
When my kids were much younger, we had a brief but intense obsession with a show called Destroy, Build, Destroy. It was hosted by Andrew W.K., a metal musician, and he always started dressed in white, sort of like I am tonight, and ended completely covered in grime. The premise of the show is simple. Teams of teens would get together, and first they would destroy something big, like a monster truck, then they would build something new from the debris, and then they would try to destroy the other team's creation. My kids thought it was fantastic. Sam and Isabel were, of course, doing very similar things in our own house. They were masters of destruction, and it helped me to step back and think, hey, maybe I should let that destruction live and let them build on from there. The same thing was happening in the public school classrooms where I was working in Denver. Our preschool students have that same tendency. When they're given the time, the space, the materials, and the choice, they will enter into a destroy, build, destroy cycle too. Around the same time, I heard a TED Talk by Sir Ken Robinson talking about creativity and education. My big takeaway was around divergent thinking and how that is something that's an underutilized resource for us in education and the world. He talked about a test of divergent thinking that was given to children. Our youngest children, 3 and 5-year-olds, were 98% of them tested as geniuses in this area. But as years of formal schooling went on, you can see the scores went down and down. So I was starting to draw a parallel between destroy, build, destroy, and an idea of diverge, converge, diverge. And sort of made it my mission from then on to seek out more destruction and divergence in the world. Definitely it's important to think about there's a dance between those two elements. We wouldn't want to have all divergence and be living in chaos like a Hieronymus Bosch painting, but we also wouldn't want to have all convergence and be stagnant in our society. So why start with destroy first? People often ask me this, wouldn't you build first? Well, I think our natural state as adults, as we've seen, is convergence. So starting with destroy is one of the best things we can do to shake it up and move forward. Another important thing is choosing your own divergence. We know that disasters are going to come our way. We've seen that tonight. There's going to be earthquakes and avalanche. If you get in a habit of creating and embracing destruction on your own terms, you'll be less of a victim of those circumstances. I started also thinking of it as a continuum. So on one extreme, you've got an atomic bomb. We're not going to do that necessarily. We want to go to something down there on the bottom level, like turning your problem upside down or putting it in another context. So to start, I would definitely recommend starting with yourself. Don't try to force divergent thinking on your loved ones, on your boss, or anyone like that. You might hit a convergent wall. You want to start developing it in yourself and then move on from there. So 3 seems to be a magic number tonight. A lot of people have groups of 3. I'm going to give you 3 divergent thinking workouts to take with you. They're all very simple and portable. You can do them by yourself or with friends, but I think they will really help you to bring more destruction into your life. So the first we call the paperclip geniuses. You just start with any object, such as a paperclip, and think about all of the alternative uses that could happen with that object. So really quick, right now, shout out, what else could you use a paperclip for? Excellent. So it's a room full of geniuses already. So keep doing that, but do it with different objects, elements, even feelings, emotions. You can play with that. And if you come up with 20 ideas, go for 50, go for 100, go for an infinite number of possibilities. The next one I call clean sweep, and this is pretty simple, destroying the spaces that you live in. So let's say you have a very crowded kitchen drawer. Instead of trying to organize within that construct and all that mess, think about clearing it out like you've had an atomic bomb happen in that space, and then start replacing the elements from there. You'll start from this divergent thinking place and use the space a lot better. Then the final one is my favorite. It's more about self-destruction. So a lot of us have a tendency unconsciously to be thinking about all the things we could never do, kind of like, I'm not that kind of girl. I have a lot of them myself, like I could never skydive, I could never cosplay, I could never speak at Ignite like I'm doing right now. So I really encourage you to think about those things, recognize them in yourself, and then work against them. So these are my divergent thinking coaches, Sam and Isabel. They got me to cosplay last weekend at Denver Comic Con. We had an amazing divergent weekend, and it was wonderful. So finally, I hope that you will reach out to me, let me know what you're doing to destroy and diverge. And also, if you can find me after the show, I've got a bunch of Sharpie markers, and I'm hoping you will help me destroy this white dress that I'm wearing, sort of Andrew WK style. Thank you so much.
I don't think that I'm that short until I do this show. And then I realize, wow, you should start wearing heels more often, but then I also remember, wow, weak ankles and knees. Okay, and tequila.